Oh yeah, that's right, I need to make a video. How's it, friends? I'm Nazarbro, and in case you didn't know, The War Within is out! I don't care if Blizz calls it early access, the game is available to play if you fork over the cash to play early. So I don't know about you, but I need to get back to playing. From what I've played so far, it has been pretty sweet. It's awesome, stakes feel high, we actually feel threatened, and Kazalgar is such a nice new region. How are you enjoying it so far, Gamma?
Yeah, it's all fun. I already got my Keystone Master for this season.
Dude, what? How? The season hasn't even started yet.
I'm just that good.
Yeah, alright, if you say so. Anyways, I've been having a ton of fun so far. The launch experience for me, surprisingly, was actually quite smooth. I was and still am surprised at how okay everything went. While I talk about my launch experience and everything I've done so far, there will be some footage on screen from the early bits of the expansion, including the intro bit, which was very cool and I actually do highly recommend not watching, but you can just listen along. I don't talk about any spoilers in this video, but I might talk about vibes and maybe about the experience of doing a dungeon or a delve, but other than that, nothing specific about the plot. So for now, at least audio-wise, let's talk about the early stages of the expansion without spoilers. So immediately I will say that for the first time in a long time, the whole situation feels way more threatening than it has. Once things really get rolling, you feel constantly at a disadvantage, and everything you try to do to counter your enemies is outplayed and outmaneuvered. So instead of feeling like you're going into the events of the expansion with a fully thought out plan, it actually ends up feeling far less prepared than ever before. By the time you're let loose on the Isle of Dorn, it really feels like you're going down to square one. Not only that, but the danger doesn't feel like it subsides for a bit and then picks up again later. The danger feels mostly consistent and pervades everything you do, for the most part. I do also want to point out that the main story questline includes some points where it takes you through a delve and also a dungeon, but the dungeon can also be done with followers. These quests are requirements and can't be skipped, so for the first time in a long time, dungeons are required for the story. Both instances of doing the required story delve and the follower dungeon feel amazing and seamless too. There's barely any interruption or any queuing or anything, and doing the dungeon with followers feels organic since the followers are characters that are involved with the story of the zone. It doesn't feel out of place at all, and actually slots into the story as a change of pace that feels good and also makes complete sense. The Delve one also teaches you about delves decently enough, and if you're full eye level 500 plus gear from Dragonflight, you will just kind of walk over all of it without breaking a sweat, but the delves do get harder as you work your way up the ranks. So far, the furthest I've gotten with the story is actually just getting to the beginning of the second zone. I did take some time in the first zone to do some side quests, including one that relates to what happens to aging Earthen, which was quite a good time to be honest. I'm looking forward to clearing the zones of side quests when I'm done with the story, as I usually do. I really want to play more, but I also want to make videos, so here I am. In terms of the actual gameplay experience, I have experienced minor lag only about once, towards the end of my play session when I got to the second zone. I never got disconnected once, there were no login queues, no long loading times. My game did freeze once for like a minute, but that was probably an issue with my PC and not the game. All the cutscenes and cinematics worked correctly, and the quest to start the expansion was on time. Actually, about 5 minutes early for me. Honestly, it was so smooth the whole time, I'm actually blown away. Granted, I don't know how big the early access population is compared to how many are going to be hopping in on Tuesday and Wednesday. Obviously, I'm sure the population of non-early accessors is huge compared to those of us playing now, but hopefully the difference is enough to make the actual launch at least a little smoother than what launches can be sometimes. I still remember the Dragonflight boat shenanigans. I gotta say, I actually love how WoW does expansion launches. It gets everything ready ahead of time, and then when the time comes and it's the day of, and you're logged in, the expansion just turns on. And you get a random quest in your journal, and everybody starts scrambling to go to the new area. Way more fun than just waiting for the game to come up from a big maintenance like Final Fantasy or Destiny or something. Both games I do enjoy, by the way. I've been present for each launch the moment it has happened since BFA. I guess maybe Legion 2, but I wasn't at max level yet and I don't think I owned the expansion at that point. So I didn't experience all of that right away. It did take me a very long time to get to max level back in the Legion days and late WoD since I was really taking my time just exploring the world and getting used to the game. Anyways, it was a smooth early access launch, so that's cool. I hope you guys out there playing right now are also having a good time. I can't wait to play more, and I would be in right now, but there is more news to cover. I want to go over some big Blizzard news that all came out at Gamescom in the past week. Since we're all Xbox gamers after the big ActiBlizz purchase, Blizz had a pretty big presence at Gamescom under Xbox's umbrella. Surprisingly, more so showing off Diablo and trying to hype up its expansion, rather than talking about World of Warcraft with its new expansion that came out right now. They did talk about WoW a bit though, so let's talk about what they talked about. So as we know, World of Warcraft is coming up on its 20th anniversary, with the Warcraft 30th anniversary also being at the same time. So it's a big year, and most everyone expected something big to happen. So far, all we've gotten is a slightly more expensive collector's edition because it comes with this big statue that commemorates the 20 years. But the rest of the collector's edition is standard fare, all themed around the war within, and not the 20 years of WoW. Well, during the Gamescom opening ceremony, the new-ish Blizz president Joanna Faries came on stage and talked a bit about the more special stuff WoW will be getting soon. Starting in October, we will begin to see some in-game events to commemorate the joint anniversaries, which I am hoping are a notch above the usual yearly anniversary offerings of killing a world boss and hanging out in the Caverns of Time, and grinding some rep with a huge rep boost. I basically cleaned up Outland during the last anniversary, and if I have the bandwidth, maybe I'll do the same thing with Wrath if the rep buff sticks around. Anyways, no details about these events just yet, but we may learn more about them at this Warcraft Direct that was mentioned in the same presentation. So it was already confirmed a while ago that there won't be a BlizzCon this year, and now in place of it, there will be what Joanna called a Warcraft Direct to present a big drop of Warcraft-related information. BlizzCon usually happens in November though, the month after these anniversary offerings are meant to start. I'm sure Blizz will let us know sometime around then when they have more to talk about. Some Warcraft shenanigans are already beginning soon though, starting with an Overwatch crossover. Yay! Well, if you do still like Overwatch and enjoy Warcraft as well, then they showed off this actually pretty nice Sylvanas skin for Widowmaker, and with the promise of more to come. In the trailer that dropped a little while back for the newest season of Overwatch, Frostmourne did make an appearance right at the end, so Arthas is almost definitely showing up too. If you do enjoy both games, keep an eye out to see what else they'll be giving out. It's been a couple years since I've played Overwatch. I played a lot when it first came out with my friends, and over time, people just lost interest and we don't really play anymore. Anyways, that's pretty much all the notable stuff they talked about over there in Germany. Ian did show up at Xbox's Day 2 stream, but didn't really talk about anything we don't already know. It's actually insane to me that he's even over there when an expansion is launching right now. He must be pretty confident with the bros holding down the fort, and with how smooth early access launch was, I think he's probably fine. I do also want to point out that they had these crazy 4D Escape from Dalaran VR rides there, with moving seats and fans and everything. It just looks so goofy and awesome, and I would love to try it. I wouldn't be surprised if they brought those to the next BlizzCon or even made something new with the same idea. I've never actually been to a BlizzCon before, and maybe one day I'll be able to see the event in person. Now, of course, even with the expansion launch happening right before our eyes, there is some other news happening all around us too. I'll try to keep it all brief so we can all get back to gaming. Let's begin. On the beta, that's still up for now. We've had some more Mythic Plus dungeon tweaks. Nothing too crazy, but still kind of notable. Firstly, they've done some tweaking to the mob counts needed to fulfill the dungeon and how much certain mobs count for. It does appear to mostly be increases on how much each mob counts, which is probably a good thing. Alongside this, Tyrannical's health bonus got lowered from 30% to only 25%. And the damage output of all mobs across the board in Mythic dungeons was reduced by 7%. I'm no key pusher, so I don't have a good idea about how this might affect things, but a nerf is a nerf and will probably make things feel a bit smoother. In the live game, we have some very nice weapon appearances being made more available to everyone. Previously, there were some really nice Legion weapon appearances that were only available when some of the Legion dungeons were available during the active season as Mythic Plus dungeons. They can be scooped up now on normal difficulty from Legion dungeons, and some of these are really nice. As a mage main, I'm a big fan of the Nightborn weapons. We did just get the staff from the pre-patch event, but I really do need to pick up this sword if I can. There's also this really sweet dragon sword and magma axe, along with some others. More appearance options are always a good thing. Another interesting thing from the live game that went into effect with the early access launch: tailors are now the only ones that will get cloth drops out in the world in the War Within. Yeah, you heard that right. This is probably going to do some insane stuff to the price of cloth on the market, and while I'm not an auction house playing savant, I'm sure even I will notice it. I haven't taken a peek at the new reagents yet on the auction house, but I'm sure it isn't pretty. Time will tell once things stabilize a bit. Some more rapid fire stuff: we have some new merch, including some new fig pins of Illyria and Arthas, a crochet murloc, and a partnership with MSI to do some sweepstakes on some WoW-themed RTX 4070 Super 12G gaming slims. That's a bit of a mouthful, but there are some other goodies up for grabs too. Funny story with sweepstakes, I've only ever won a single raffle in my life, and it was the night of my high school graduation. I wasn't even there at the post-graduation event to claim the prize, which was a sizable TV because, I shit you not, I was actually out watching the Warcraft movie in theaters. I am being 100% serious. It's good times. There was also a group interview with WoW's production director Michael Bybee, which brought to light some really interesting tidbits. Firstly, it was revealed that sometime early in the War Within, if you form a full group with some cross-faction players, you can then queue up for things in the group finder cross-faction. Currently, it doesn't let you do that, so if this is your thing and you've got a lot of friends who play cross-faction, then this should be big news. In the same interview, they also touched briefly on the issue that there were no weapon arsenal items in Pandaria Remix to grant collections of weapons, as they thought at the time that leaving some of these rare weapons to be obtained by drops would just be a nice different way than everything else. Grinding for the FOMO weapon appearances was not something many players enjoyed, and Bybee said in the interview that when Remix comes back at a later date, it would be something that they take another look at. That's about as hard confirmation as we've ever gotten for a return to Remix. The interview also makes it clear that War Within will not have a Glory of the Dungeon hero type meta achievement. In its place, we're instead going to get some more spread out feats of strength to actually tie into the content as it's current. I am not sure I like this idea. I honestly don't see why they can't do both. Really weird decision on that. The interview had some good stuff in it, and I'll link it in the description for you to peruse at your leisure. Two last things I want to talk about. Number one, there are a couple services that are discounted by 30% until September 2nd. Still very expensive in my opinion, but at least you can save a little. Number two, there's also this new website up where you can punch in your character's name and realm, and it generates a short video for them, highlighting some of their stats while Xal'atath roasts you. You can actually download these little clips, and prompting another video to be created re-rolls the stats that you get. So you can make a small collection of these to keep as a digital memento. A cool tip for all you priest players, equip the Xal'atath artifact weapon, either the actual thing or transmogged, and be sure to be in shadow spec before you generate a video. You'll get a little special interaction. I remember Bungie actually did something similar to this with Destiny, back in Destiny 1. Before Destiny 1's first major expansion came out, The Taken King, they let you generate a video which did about the same thing, generating some of your stats that are more notable, and personalizing the video with your username and or gamer tag. I still have mine around here somewhere, and if it's playing on the screen right now, that means I found it. And that's all about I'm willing to cover today. I gotta head out and play some more WoW, so I'll see you out there in Khazalgar. If you made it to the end of this video, you're a legend. Please consider leaving a like if you enjoy how I do things here, and subscribing would mean the world to me. Current sub goal is 500 subscribers, so let's get it, friends. Until next time, stay safe, bros.